Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special online event called 3 Shamanic Practices for Spiritual Immunity, How to Strengthen Your Health, Navigate Fear, and Empower Your Community. My name is Stephen Dinant. I'm the founder, CEO, and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really grateful to be here today because we are in a time of great crisis on a planetary level, and it's very easy to be swept up in that, swept away by it, to get into fear states, to have trouble navigating these times. There can be isolation. There's a lot of different things. So from my perspective, is that it's a time for us to take clear action, but also to strengthen our spiritual practices. And that's why we invited Sandra Ingerman to do this special event today. It's going to be 90 minutes, unlike our usual. We're going to have a chance to really go deep into some practices that have been proven the test of time in terms of protecting yourself and your community, to strengthen yourself, and also to participate in a global ceremony. So we want this to be experiential, so I encourage you to drop whatever distractions you might have to participate really fully with us. And I think we'll really be able to feel the benefit now and also ripple out in the time to come. So with that said, Sandra Ingerman doesn't need a lot of introduction. She's really one of the foremost teachers of shamanism in the modern world, really bridging ancient traditions and wisdom traditions with a modern sensibility. She's taught, I think, tens of thousands of students through the Shift Network already. She's written many books, trained hundreds or thousands of practitioners around the world. So it's really my honor to introduce you to Sandra Ingerman. Welcome.
Thanks, Stephen. It's always just a delight. I always look forward to your reflections because you have a beautiful way of framing things. And I want to thank everybody at the Shift Network for really coming together during this extreme time of change. And so we're going to start with an invocation. And some of you might find some healing in the work that we're going to do, because in the unseen realms, we don't need any social distancing. And so on this call, we have thousands of people from around the world in different time zones, and many people won't be able to listen live and will be listening another time, and their energy will come flooding through to our collective to strengthen all the work that we've been doing. And so let's close our eyes and let's do something that we've been really missing. Let's use our imagination to see this amazing light-filled golden circle all around the world. And we hold hands together and we feel the feel of each other's skin. And you can actually feel the excitement through our bodies to feel touch again, because as human beings, touch is so healing for all of us. So let's just luxuriate in how it feels to be in a circle of thousands, and we don't have to worry about spreading germs. We don't have to worry about anything. We've stepped out of time, we've stepped out of space, and we feel the love and the power that's generating through each person right now, because every person who has stepped into the circle has stepped in out of love for yourself, your loved ones, your family, and for your community and for the world. And I also would like to call in all the helping spirits of this planet. The helping spirits who work with those, you might not even know it, but in shamanism, it's understood that we all have helping spirits. And so we call in, we give thanks to their presence for holding space during this 90-minute session, holding a space of such sacred work and of such sacred community that everybody can drop in as deep as they want to and open their hearts and listen to what's the truth coming out from you, not from me, not from anyone else. Because as you know, there's way too much information out there right now. So we drop into our essential truth while we know that we have this incredible circle of helping spirits that are holding the space for us so we can go as deep into the work as we want. And as we imagine those loving, helping spirits who care for us so much, and as we imagine holding hands with this radiant circle, open-hearted, filled with grief, filled with love, filled with hope, such a multi-dimension of emotions are filling our circle right now. What we really want to do is we want to take the time to fill with love. Imagine the helping spirits who are surrounding us with so much care and so much compassion. Breathe in the love that they have for us. As you feel the loving energies of our circle, breathe in the love that they have for us. Breathe in all the beautiful images. Breathe in the beautiful fragrances and sounds and those textures, all those things you love to touch and love. Breathe it in so that in your inner garden, who you are inside is filled with so much beauty. And I invite everybody to open their eyes after this exercise and notice if you see more vibrancy, more color, and more beauty around you right now. So our work will begin now. We're really taking care of ourselves on a physical level. And I don't have to go through all that we're doing and all the laws that different countries are putting in place right now. But we really have to look at what's going on a spiritual level. And one of the things that I would like to talk to you about is in shamanism, one of the tools that shamanic communities all have that many of us are lacking is that in indigenous cultures, there was more understanding of psychic energy and what was happening on an invisible level. What happened to our culture is that through technology, we have put everything into our mind, everything into a very linear way of thinking, which really doesn't work in the world of shamanism. And one of the very first things that I ever learned when I started practicing shamanism back in 1980 is where epidemics and viruses come from a shamanic point of view. And from a shamanic point of view, viruses and epidemics that reach cities and right now are reaching the world actually come through what we call negative thought forms. And so what happens is as human beings, we're born these amazing beings. We're actually divine beings, which we're going to go into a little bit later on. But we came down and we took on this role, and we're clouded by ego, and we're very clouded by personality. And through technology, we haven't had to rely so much on looking at what's happening in the unseen realms because everything is right here. Everything is material. We can see it. There's no questions. It just is so. And in shamanic cultures, everything is looked at in energy. And I actually call shamans gardeners of energy, because that's what they do. They're always looking at what's the energy around what's happening. And they're looking at how to weave back in a pattern of harmony. And so there's a real understanding in shamanic cultures of the difference between expressing an emotion that you have. I'm not going to call it a negative emotion, because are there any negative emotions? But they're dense energy. They have an effect, and I'll talk about that some more. So with all the fear and all the anger that's been going on, this has been flooding the collective. And so what's been happening is we start to get into these places where I am so angry about what happened with the political situation around immigrants and how families were just pulled apart. I am devastated by the fires in the Amazon, the lungs of the earth. I am still so heartbroken about the billion nature beings that died in the Australian fires, and all the devastation that caused. And now, all of a sudden, we have in the collective the coronavirus. And from a shamanic point of view, that's not surprising. And also from a shamanic point of view, I always feel like I'm on a science fiction movie when I say this, but everything is connected. Everything is connected. There is an absolute connection from what happened in the fires in the Amazon to creating an illness that is hurting people's lungs. There are connections between everything that happens. But what's been going on, there's so much grief, there's so much anger, there's so much fear, and a variety of feelings going on, that it's very important for our health and well-being. And this is what I mean by shamanic cultures using the term express. It's really important for you to share with yourself and others the depths of your feeling. You don't want to squash your grief. You don't want to squash your fear. You don't want to squash your anger. Those are emotions that you have a right to feel. But then there's energy, that work that we have to do behind those emotions, because what we're doing right now is we're sending psychic darts into the universe. And that's creating the coronavirus. From a shamanic point of view, that would be an old time looking at what happens when so many negative thought forms go in the collective. It creates some kind of pandemic. And so the answer is to keep expressing. But then the other part of the process is to learn how to transmute the energy behind that emotion. So, for example, I'll give a very old example. I was having, back in the 1980s, I lived with a family, and I was having a disagreement with the woman who I rented our home from. And I'm driving down the street, and I'm completely grounded. I was not doing what I tell my students not to. I wasn't journeying while I was driving. But all of a sudden, I heard my teacher, Isis, my unseen teacher, Isis, say to me, "What was that thought, and where did you send it to?" And all of a sudden, I realized that I sent it to my roommate, and that probably hurt her on some level. And I knew enough about shamanism that everything you send out comes back to you 3 times. So I knew that it wasn't just affecting her, it was affecting me also. And so Isis gave me, and it sounds like a lot of words, but it actually goes very quickly. She just said to me to ask that the energy behind your emotion be transmuted to love and light. Ask the energy behind your emotion to be transmuted to love and light. It sounds like a lot of words, but it's not. And it's an amazing way to start to transmute so that what we're putting out into the collective is light and love and beauty, and that's what's reflected back to us. I have a favorite mystic author, and his name is Neville, and he was around in the 1930s. And he has this marvelous teaching that the whole world is you pushed out. The whole world is you pushed out. I mean, just take some time, reflect on that over the weeks to come. It's a lot to reflect on. And so in shamanic cultures, when we're putting out, I'm so angry, I have so much grief, I have so much going on, it's actually being absorbed by the whole entire collective. And illness comes from that. So that what we're seeing with the coronavirus is actually a spiritual illness. And from a shamanic point of view, the actual way to work with that would be to do some transmuting of the energy behind your emotions. Another way that I really love to work that you can bring into this practice is to sing. Singing is an amazing transformative force. I teach in my workshops a song that uses fire to transmute, and it goes like this, and it's really easy to sing. Fire, fire, rising higher, fire, fire, transforming me. Fire, fire, rising higher, fire, fire, transforming me. My husband always knows when I have something going on because he hears me walking around the house singing fire, fire, rising higher, fire, fire, transforming me. And if you really focus on the states of consciousness that you want to let go of, songs are wonderful. And songs and shamanism are one of the most important parts of shamanic practice. And in our culture, everybody's afraid to sing because we were told when we were little kids, don't sing, you're going to crack the windows. But the bottom line is there isn't anything on this planet that doesn't sing. There isn't anything on this planet that doesn't sing. All my students who I teach how to listen to the trees singing, they hear it. They hear all these different songs out of nature, out of fungi, out of grass. It just brings so much magic into life. And nature sings, sing with nature, go out into nature and sing. And that's a beautiful, beautiful way to clean up our collective. So just for me to summarize a little bit, this is what happens. Is in shamanism, the words we use have a vibration. Remember, we're in shamanism, we're only looking at the invisible. And shamans are gardeners of energy. And so we're looking at the energy created from every word you speak out loud and every word you speak to yourself. We're looking at what goes up into the universe and is coming down as reality when we say to ourselves, the planet has gone too far, it's never going to make it. that energy just crashed. That didn't feed the love of the earth, the love of the planet. And then our daydreams. What's going to happen? Are we all going to run out of food? Are we ever going to be let out of our house again? In shamanism, we're always dreaming the world into being, always dreaming the world into being by every daydream that is floating around in our imagination. So if you just take time to work with the words that you use, to reflect on the thoughts that you're putting out into the collective, and also working with your daydreams, you can really see what's being sent out. And that means it's being sent back to you. It's being sent back to the planet Earth. It's being sent back to every nature being. It's being sent back to the water, the air, the sun, the moon, the stars. It's being sent to everything. And so it's really important to do this work and to do it slowly. Take some time in reflection and think about the words that you use a lot. And close your eyes. You all know how to speak to your soul. I don't have to teach you how to do that. Every one of us can do it. And there's a lot of quiet right now. Just close your eyes and speak to your soul and practice when you have time. And a lot of people have time right now and a lot of people don't. But practice saying certain words and just imagine the energy coming out and what you're actually manifesting down. I describe it as what's raining down on me by the energy that I just sent up with my words, that I just sent up with my thoughts, that I just sent up with my daydreams. So that's really important. And then you can start to find your own practices. I just shared how I've been working, but there's lots of practices that you can do by going out into nature, and that's safe to do right now. And just sitting and reflecting or listening to some shamanic music or some nice spiritual music, just lying down and brainstorming with yourself. What are some of things that I can try to transmute? So one of the things I got, which was so powerful, was I love cats and I love elephants. I love every nature being, but there's something about kittens and there's something about elephants that go deep into my soul. And so I can be so mad at a political leader. I can be so mad at a political leader. You have no idea. But what I do is I project in my mind the face of a kitten or a face of an elephant on that person. And everything that I just sent to that political leader also went to that kitten and to that elephant. So we have choices to make. We have choices to make that we're actually living in unity and we're not as separate as we think. All the events we're dealing with now and in the coming times are connected and have been connected to past times. There is no linear time in shamanism. So there are just different phases that we're going through, and I'll talk about those in a little while. But it's really important right now to really focus on some of the simple things that you can do. And everything I just described doesn't take time. It just takes breaking your habitual way of thinking, of stop. What did I just say? What did I just think? What did I just daydream? And do some work to transform the energy behind that so that you're feeding the whole entire collective with love and light.
Beautiful. Well, I think that's incredible overall framework for us to understand from a shamanic perspective how we can be adding value to the dispelling of some of the negative energy forms that we are participating in as well right now. So one of the things that you've taught a lot about and that I think is relevant now is the whole aspect of journeying to both to the future and to our ancestors to gain wisdom for the present. I'd love for you to share a little bit about that from how it pertains to now.
Yeah, it's a perfect it's a perfect lead in to after what I just shared, because shamans don't see anything in linear time, and everything really is connected. And so the ancestors, and I'm talking about ancestors, not just our personal ancestors, but our ancestors that go back tens of thousands of years, they had the gift of sight. They always knew what was coming. They had a beautiful relationship with the elements, earth, air, water, fire. And the elements would bring them all this knowledge and all this wisdom of this is what's coming, and this is how to prepare, and this is what you have to do. And so, by the blessings and the grace of our ancestors, and I'm not talking about our personal ancestors, although they're helping us too, by the grace of our ancestral spirits, through songs, through stories, they've been writing about these times, and they've actually been telling us what we have to do, how we have to change our thinking, how we have to change how we speak. Everything I just shared with you has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years. I did not come up with this myself. And so the ancestors have been trying to help us. They care for us. They love us. They want to see us go on. They want to see life go on. So they've been giving us clues through chants, songs, stories that people went around and told in their villages, a wealth of spiritual texts that we all have time to read. And there's so much that the ancestors taught us. It's really quite amazing. And in shamanism, one of the beauties of shamanism is we can go back to the future, go back to the past, and we can travel into the future because you're outside of time. And when we travel to the past, the ancestors are a little curious about what's happening to us, but they'll definitely share their stories of how they got through the times that we're in. And we can also learn from them what brought them down. Like I've taken my past groups to ancient Egypt and Atlantis and Lemuria and even to Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia had a very advanced civilization, way beyond our technology. They had plumbing and everything. And so we've been able to ask them questions. What brought them down? What brought them down? And you know what the answer is. I know that most of you know what the answer is. It was ego. Ego persists throughout time. But the initiations keep cracking our shell, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then with our descendants, the descendants did survive. You know, we didn't do a whole lot to give them the best world, but we're going to change. We're changing now. And so we're going to give them more, but they have so much to share with us. And their entire reality actually depends on what we share and what we do during this time, because we're leaving them the planet that they have to live on. So, boy, when you go to meet the descendants, they do healings on you. They teach us how to use sound and light for healing. I've had all my students ask descendants for one small healing method that they can bring into their personal practice. Something that can be used today, because some of the things from the future aren't applicable to our time. And so the descendants are really kind to us, and they come up with smaller pieces of start here, try this, eat this, change your diet to this. Try using a tuning fork here. Try using this note for this illness. They're amazing what they'll bring through, and they can really help us right now. We need them right now. We need communication with them. And so the ancestors and descendants have so much to share with us, and they're absolutely lovely. I mean, they're lovely. Nobody's yelling at us. We're being held in love that we never, ever experienced or thought was even possible. There's so much care being given to us and so much desire from the ancestors. You can do it. You can do it. Just follow these ways. They're so simple. They're not difficult. And then with the descendants, it's come to us, come to us, come to us. We have so much to teach you right now. Come to us so we can show you ceremonies that you can do to help yourself, your loved ones, and the planet.
Beautiful. Well, that's a great overview of how we can really draw from these different directions of our ancestors and descendants. And so, let's now transition into leading people in the practices you wanted to share. I know we have 3 practices and 1 ceremony. So, I'm going to be, I'll kind of step back and just as you invite me in, I'm happy to engage, but to really encourage everyone to make this an experiential hour, because there is a power as we join together across time and space to create real change for ourselves individually and collectively. So the first practice I believe you wanted to work with has to do with our personal creation story, right?
Yes. And so I am going to bring you through the practices. We kind of did the one around transmutation, but I'm going to lead a little bit more. So the very first thing is everything in shamanism is about creating sacred space. We never go in with our ordinary thoughts. We never go in with our ego. We never go in with our personality, because we're going into a different field. We're going into a different realm of existence. And everything there is about sacred reciprocity. Everything is about, I love you. I share my light with you. I act with kindness towards you, and you do the return for me. So there's nothing one-sided. Everything is about needing to have a conversation to make this a two-sided conversation. So I'm going to lead you in a few different practices, and I'm just going to cheat just a little bit with my glasses so I can see the order that we're going to do. Okay. So the reason I want you to do this particular practice, there's a really big reason around it, and I always bring in my personal experience when I teach. One of the things I realized is right now we're dealing with the coronavirus, but if you're aware of what's going on the planet, we're also dealing with a tremendous amount of autoimmune issues. And with autoimmune issues, and they're all mysterious, and doctors are trying to figure them out and having a terrible time. With an autoimmune issue, it means a part of your body is attacking another part of your body because it doesn't recognize it anymore. And so it sees it as an invader to get rid of. And what came to me is that with all the autoimmune that we're dealing with, and it's the same exact thing with the coronavirus, I was told that this will be one of the most healing practices people can do in this time and in the future. And so the actual practice is we're going to go to the Creator, the creative forces of the universe. And people have different names for it. I don't want to insult your beliefs. God, the goddess, the creative forces of the universe, the Creator, Buddha, Jesus. I mean, the names go on and on. So you pick the name that feels right to you. And we're going to journey. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to first start by singing. Singing is really important to change the energy. I'm going to start by singing, and after I sing, I'm going to guide you to your Creator. And once you're at your Creator, I want you to experience in every cell in your body. This is not rational. I want you to lie in front of your Creator, open yourself up, and receive the love that went into your creation. Feel it, get it. It'll change your life forever. So I'm just going to start creating the space for us. Okay, with our eyes closed, let's go into our hearts. Just imagine moving the energy from your head into your heart. Feel what you love. Place into your heart what you love. Also, place into your heart what you feel sad about right now or fearful about right now. Because our heart is the vehicle that takes us, besides the drum and rattles, on our journey. Shamans only see with their hearts and speak with their hearts. So with your eyes closed, focusing on your heart, use your imagination. Imagination was the gift given to you at the beginning of your life to form the world that you live in, exactly like the Creator did. We work with our imagination. We start to move towards our door. And at the door, there's a veil, there's a mist, there's a fog, separating the ordinary realm to the unseen realm. And we step out and we start walking a beautiful path of nature that turns into a transition into the non-ordinary realm. Feel the texture of the earth. Smell it. Feel the softness as your feet walk on it. Smell the fragrances of the life forms and hear the sounds, the beautiful sounds of nature. Taste the air. Take in all the beauty with your eyes. The colors are so vibrant here, so different here. We walk together to the world tree. That's where your path is leading you to. You start to see hundreds, thousands of other people walking up to the golden world tree that connects the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And we start to climb. It doesn't matter your physical ability. You can do this. You're in the unseen. You have your full strength. You can do anything here. You can heal your wounds. You can create your greatest joys. Start to climb up the world tree to the upper world. Let's all move just a little bit faster. We're outside of time. And on your own, you'll find yourself on a level in what we call the upper world. There's no form here. It's really ethereal. There's not much color here, although you might see some pastel colors or even a crystal cave. But waiting to meet you is a being called your Creator. And the Creator has no form. It has no form. It's not a human. It has unlimited energy and power to create change and transformation. It's a formless being of pure light, pure love, pure energy. Go up to that energy and rest in it. Feel that unconditional love that only many people who had near-death experiences feel in this lifetime. It's not a personal love. It's unconditional. Be in its energy. Bathe in its energy. Feel the love of your Creator. Why would such a loving Creator bring such suffering? That's a question for later. We come back now, floating back down, floating back to the world tree, climbing down, saying goodbye to all of our fellow journeyers. We step back on the path, coming back to our room. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Mother, I feel you under my feet. Mother, I feel your heartbeat. Hey, 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 oh. 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 Come back to the doorway of the veil and step through back into your room, filled with the love, filled with the peace, filled with the light-filled energies of your Creator. So just take a moment to feel those energies, because that's the key. We, in this culture, in the Western world, everything is about the love we give, and it's beautiful. We've really developed it. Spiritual practitioners, journeyers, and children are doing these amazing little videos right now of singing about the love of the universe. And about the goodness of life. And this is a real big part of shamanism, not just giving that love, but receiving that love, because I'm going to bring you back to the statement of sacred reciprocity. In shamanism, sacred reciprocity is the most important practice that there is, because everything we put out, we get back. So if you put out intrusions or those negative thought forms, we get that back. When we emanate love, we get that love back, but do we receive it? And that's a key to our spiritual immunity. Trust me, it is a key. So that's a very important practice. And with that love and that light, again, love and light transforms. And so I already led you on a practice of asking that the energy behind your words, your thoughts, your daydreams be transformed into love. Now, beautiful practice to do to help you with this is to plant some seeds. I don't know what's possible for you to get right now, so we're going to have to be a little bit flexible and adapt. But if you can get parsley seeds right now, plant parsley seeds in a little cup. It could be a glass if you can't get a little pot, doesn't matter. And the reason I pick parsley seeds is because they grow so quickly. You'll have sprouts within a week. And every day I want you to walk around your house. If you're able to go out, go out. If you're not, this plant is always with you 24/7, by your bedside, by when you eat, when you're talking on the phone, when you're talking on the computer. And at the end of the day, I want you to reflect on the energy that you put into that parsley plant. And when that parsley plant grows its sprouts, I want you to eat them, because you're eating all your thoughts that you put into that plant while it was growing. It's a big lesson for us to get that everything we're ingesting is filled with the thoughts of the collective. So when do we start to bring in our practices to sing? Sing is a transformative force, to emanate love, to emanate light, to project the beings, the nature beings that we love all over the planet to the places that where we're struggling. Use nature to teach you how to transmute. It will, because you're eating everything that is being grown. And it's a really big lesson of how to transmute and the reason why transmuting is so important. And so the next practice that I want to bring us into was actually supposed to be part of the invocation. And this is a practice people have been asking for. There's one thing I can do is research on Facebook what people are looking for. And this is a very, very powerful practice for us. There are so many people dying right now, and 1 billion creatures died in the Australian fires, and we don't know the death total in the Amazon, but we know it was devastating. There's so much grief that we're holding, and grief is such a healing force in our life. But learning how to work with grief is part of our spiritual immunity. And so there's a beautiful ceremony, and it's very short, that comes from different traditions around the world. It's believed that every single person who lives must be honored when they die, must be honored when they die. That's a grasshopper, an ant, a tree, a plant, an octopus. It doesn't matter. The land. This is absolutely crucial work for us to honor these beings and give them a way home. And so I'm going to lead what I call an honorable closure ceremony, and it's going to be very short. And I'm actually going to do it with my drum. And in the honorable closure ceremony, and it's really short, I want you to focus on the humans, the nature beings. Who do you just want to say goodbye to and feel were taken away from you so quickly without being able to honor? Because when we use honor, respect, and kindness back to sacred reciprocity, it comes back to us again. And love, honor, and kindness come back to us from everything in nature. So in the room that you're in right now, go inside yourself. And remember that tens and thousands of us are doing this together. So don't feel too much pressure to get every living being. Just focus. Where is your heart calling you to right now? Who are the beings? You don't have to know their names. Just where do they live? What form did they take? And stand on the land where they died, or stay right where you are. It doesn't matter. It's up to you how deep you go with this practice, because it's the intention that heals, not what you do. And I want you to say to yourself or out loud, I open my heart to you, and I thank you for the beauty and grace that you brought to this earth, to the strength that you brought to the entire web of life. You brought so much beauty, and we will miss you. And we wish you a most graceful, loving, light-filled, beautiful journey back home again. Thank you for your presence on this great earth. We love you. We honor you. We respect you. Come back to the state that you're in. Raise your arms to the sky and see yourself helping all the beings flow back to heaven, to the loving transcendent, upper world, will they'll be met by their ancestors and loved ones. Thank you for doing this work of honorable closure. So with honorable closure is, I believe, such an important ceremony because we are losing so many beings right now, and how do we honor them? I mean, I think that we're all being touched by the images and what we're seeing on the news reports about dead bodies lying everywhere and being put into mass graves. And I understand, of course, the practicalities of this, but spiritually, we have a responsibility. What shamans do is they act as psychopumps to actually lead the souls back to the transcendent realities. And so that's very advanced work, but this is a very simple ceremony that I lead in very, very large communities to help them deal with their grief, because a sense of closure comes. And when closure comes, our grief process can move on. Before I move to the last ceremony that we're going to do, I just want to talk about a few different things. What we're going through right now is a dismemberment, a mass dismemberment. And with the dismemberment, you get the disintegration, and then you get the illumination, and then you get the rebirthing and the rememberment, and all of a sudden, all the new birth that comes. We're actually seeing it physically. I can't remember. It's either in Australia or the Amazon. There's whole parts of the earth that were completely scorched, completely destroyed. And now they're fields of beautiful flowers. And so the point that I'm trying to make for all of you is, yes, this is a heartbreaking time. And I see heartbreak as really good, because when our heart is broken, our heart expands. And we're able to be a greater vessel of light and a greater vessel of love. And so it's just part of our evolutionary process that we have to accept. And there was a Belgian physicist, and unfortunately, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry. His name was Ilya Pergeron. And he actually won the Nobel Prize in the 1970s for coming out with a kind of chaos theory that dissolution has to happen before any cell, any DNA, any person, any city, any country, any collective can be reorganized again. So this is part of nature that we're learning. When I kept repeating to you over and over again that this is a time where things are going to change. It's part of the evolutionary process to go through this dissolution, and it involves periods of grief and it involves periods of suffering. That is part of our life. And in these deep initiations, the biggest tool that you have, it will get you through every initiation, is the practice of having your spirit carry you through. Because what we try to do as humans, we try to power through with our mind, and we can't do that right now. The people who have the best spiritual immunity have been working on their spirit through suffering, not through joy, but through suffering. It strengthens it, it pulls it together. It's that force that can't be stopped. And so it's your spirit that will carry you through this time. Do your spiritual practices. This is what you need to strengthen the greatest gift that you have right now. And to end, I'd like to lead a short transfiguration ceremony. Transfiguration, I don't have a lot of time to explain it, was a healing method that the Egyptian god Anubis gave to me in a nighttime dream. And he said it was the missing piece of my work on using spiritual practices to reverse environmental pollution. And so it took me a while to understand the message. I won't go into that. And what I got was that he was trying to teach that who we are beyond our skin, who we are beyond our mind, we are spiritual light. And so there are 3 parts to this practice that we'll be doing now. And if you continue to work with me, we'll also be working. The first part of the practice is I'm going to get you in touch with the spiritual light that already lives inside of you. This is not coming from another force. This is who you are. Your true identity on a spiritual level is spiritual light. And I want you to absorb that light into every cell of your being, every cell of your being. And that's the first level. That's your personal healing. And then we're going to, if you can see my hands, I'll have you standing up. You're going to do this ceremony standing up. Ceremony is the vehicle of change for the shaman. So you're going to do the ceremony standing up with your hands out. And as you have filled all your organs, every cell with spiritual light, now what you're going to do is you're going to let it just flow through you. Let it radiate. You're not sending it. This is an important point. It's the feminine principle of who we become that changes the world, not what we do. It's a very important principle for us right now. Just let that light flow through your palms to wherever your focus is, to the whole world. Just keep it in your focus. You're not sending, but you're focusing on the world, countries, loved ones you're worried about. Keep it in your focus while your hands are up. So there's a belief that we are walking stars on a giant star, planet Earth. The stars in the night sky, they don't effort to shine. Their light just radiates, and it doesn't pick people to radiate onto or places on the earth. It just radiates and shines and lights up the sky, and people's eyes go into pure light, reflecting back their starlight. It's just beautiful. Or maybe you'd rather work with the sun, the power of the sun. Put the sun in your solar plexus when we do this ceremony. So I'm going to take you within, and you're going to experience your light filling up your cells. Step 1, personal healing. Putting your arms up, radiating that light out into the collective. Level 2, where we're doing collective healing. And then whether you decide after you listen to this call of bringing this incredible ceremony to your community, because you'll see how simple it is. It's powerful. We get miraculous results. We've been doing scientific experiments for 20 years on how this practice heals polluted substances and people who are ill. It is the greatest practice for your spiritual immunity. So here we go. I will be guiding you throughout this whole practice. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe, I want you to connect your feet to the land that you're on right now. Because the land that you live on, even if it's a city, is your greatest ally. All shamans knew this for tens of thousands of years. It's one of the teachings of the ancestors. If you show honor, love, kindness to the land will support you too. If you live in a city, feel your energy connecting to the land under the concrete. Emanate love back and forth to the land. Feel the love of the land filling your body. Emanate love back to it. This is the missing key in our spiritual work. The land is an ally for us. And so are the ancestors who live on the land. Without trying to meet them, for we don't have the time, just state your love to the helping ancestors who live on your land, who also want to give wisdom to you right now, and you can go back to them later and speak to them. And as you feel connected and rooted to the land, travel inside yourself. Who you are beyond your body and your mind is pure spiritual light. That is your authentic identity. That is your authentic essence. Feel that light. It might just be a flicker, but let it grow and let it grow. When you were just a little tiny being, thinking about coming to this great planet Earth and looking down and seeing its beauty and that it had chocolate here. You were just a light being that came in and filled a form that would be a reflection of the Creator. And now you're a light being filled with light. Allow that light to migrate to your cells, to your DNA, to your organs. Fill with that light so that every corner is just radiant, pure starlight or sunlight. And now let that light just flow through you into the collective. Thousands of us doing this everywhere. Put your arms up. Let that light flow through your hands. It's just radiating through your hands to the people you love, to the places you love, all the places and beings you care about. Keep your focus there right now. We're a global community doing this together. And let's add a little bit more magic to the process. Imagine yourself being transported out of the room that you're in right now. back into the big circle that we started with at the beginning of this call. Standing in a circle with your hands facing the middle, where there's a giant sculpture of the earth, radiating your light, and maybe adding a little toning to it. And now let's hold hands and share this light with our circle. Let it circulate, bringing an exponential spiritual immunity to each person. And now let's drop hands and bow to each other. This is a simple ceremony. Again, ceremony is how it's shamans' vehicle for change. Bring this ceremony to your community. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. And children love to dance like a star. Bless them with this practice. And now let's all magically, by the help of the spirits, be transported back to the room that we're in. For our time is over for our spiritual work. Put your hands on your heart, your feet on the 4.6 billion year old earth. Feel your connection to yourself, to all of love. Emanate love, emanate light, receive love, receive light. Our work is done for now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. What a blessing that was. I just felt like it was just a cascade, a showering of light and cleansing and opening to the deeper dimensions of how we can navigate this. So beautifully shared. It's really clear. Also, it was clear to me is just how much of the subtle energies get taken on, even if it's not sourcing from us, that it comes from the outside of the culture we're swimming in right now too. It's just like this cleansing of our whole field is so important.
Yeah, if you ask me, the field is everything. The field of energy that we step into, if we step into an field of energy filled with fear, that's going to lower our spiritual immunity. If we step into a field of energy with scarcity, with hate, with anger, again, we want to express those emotions, but it's really important that we do our spiritual work to transform them, because everything going on right now is coming from the collective field of energy. And if we don't, we want to see a change. We want to see a change. And so I'm going to leave it with you. What kind of change do you want to see? Do you want to see more of the same? Because that's where we're going. If the collective is too filled with what we call spiritual intrusions, those spiritual intrusions start shooting back to us like arrows and poison darts. And they're the energy that was birthed from our words, from our thoughts, and from our daydreams. And as I shared, the problem that we're having is that we're in a habit we're just in a habit of how we do this. And so what I do is all over my office, all over my house, I have Post-its of beautiful words, inspiring words, uplifting words. And so when I get into a panic, I start to read the news, I just go over and I read my list and I say, that's the dimension of reality. That's the collective I want to live in. And if I want to live in that dimension of reality and I want to live in that collective, I have to start using these words. So that's what I do. And in shamanism, there's a teaching, thoughts are things. Thoughts are things. And so every time you have a thought, you're sending a thing out there. And that thing could be a loving heart that feeds our collective. And remember, what we feed grows. What we feed grows. So do we send a heart that feeds the collective with love? Or are we just sending more and more fear and anger and frustration, and that's what's growing in our collective? And we're that collective. We're not separated from that collective. We're right in it. So how do we transmute the collective that we're in? We have to learn how to break our habits. So I already shared what I did with words and Post-its. For thoughts, I stop myself throughout the day. You can actually put a timer on and say, what am I thinking about right now? What am I thinking about right now? And then bring in a beautiful image or a smell or a taste or a sound or a texture to shift. I tell people carry around a little spray bottle of their favorite essence, and when they feel negativity coming out of them, take a spray, and that fragrance, you won't remember what you were angry about. So it's all learning how to break the habit. So shamanism is a way of life. It's not something you do in the morning like a meditation or a yoga practice. It's something that extends throughout the day. So what are little tricks? What are little reminders that we could give ourselves? And when we fall off the path and we start sending out a lot of negativity to the collective, can we not beat ourselves up and say, I'm a human being with the rest of you, growing, evolving, and learning together. I made an error, and it's not one that I will do again. My own helping spirit at night, every night, he has me look at two beings. And one he labels positive, one he labels challenging or negative. And he asked me to look who grow bigger from the energy that I fed it during the day. So he just has me do a little reflection on that. And yes, the helping spirits are filled with humor. So in the deepest times of grief, they're going to cry with us, hold us, but they're also going to make us laugh.
Well, there's so many great pearls of wisdom you're sharing, and my vision is that we use this time as an inward time, a chance for spiritual renewal, and that we emerge on the other side in more conscious civilization. So I'm really, I think we want to spend some time now talking about your upcoming program as a way to really do this deep spiritual work, this shamanic work, to really be midwives for ourselves and the larger whole as we go through this death rebirth transition that we're in. And so Sandra's agreed sort of fairly last minute to pull together a program that really offers the best practices from shamanic lineages for spiritual immunity, which both applies for us personally and also for the collective. So the program is going to be called Shamanic Practices for Spiritual Immunity, and you can find it at shamanicpracticescourse.com, shamanicpracticescourse.com. It's going to be a 7-week program, and there's no prerequisites for this. So if you've done a lot of shamanic work before, before. There's going to be really fresh insights and practices. Everything will be guided by Sandra, so you don't have to know how to do it yourself. But it's also just for anybody who recognizes that these times call for strong measures spiritually, and that we want to access the full set of tools to build our own strength and capacity for ourselves, our families, and our communities. So Sandra, I'd love for you to share a little bit about this program on spiritual immunity, and then give us a tour of some of the modules and what you'll be teaching.
Yeah, well, first of all, before I get into the modules, you heard me talk about the 3 levels during the Transfiguration ceremony. And so our class is going to be like that with the 7 modules. There's going to be a journey or some healing work for you personally. There's going to be a ceremony for our entire group to share the exponential power of our group's energy together to keep each other strong and safe. And then I'll be talking about how to bring simple practices out to your loved ones or to a community or to a group that you're in, so that you can share some of the work that we're doing. So all those 3 will be going on every session: personal, sharing, healing with our entire circle, how now to inspire our community. So Stephen asked as one of the practices for me to take you to the Creator, and I just did one aspect of that, the creation story, which I want you to continue on your own to experience how much love went into your creation. Yes, you're worthy to receive that love, trust me. But there's a lost teaching in shamanism. It's really lost. You don't hear about it anymore, but I've been researching it. Somebody asked me if I'd write a book on it, and no, it's a personal practice for me. Shamans actually use the creation story through using songs that come with the creation story, their individual tribes' creation stories, the different tribes that I've researched a lot. Pretty much almost every culture around the world has their own creation story. In shamanic cultures, the shamans knew how to sing the creation story to actually dismember an illness, and then how to sing a creation story or the name of the creator as a mantra to now reweave the harmonious patterns back into the body so that you have a complete harmonious pattern. So we're going to jump into how the creation story can be used to help us get a song that we can start using as a healing practice for ourselves and our loved ones to discreate any illness and to reweave a pattern of health and harmony back into our body. I want to jump into Transfiguration immediately on the second module. We'll go a little bit deeper than I had time to go here, and we'll be doing Transfiguration for ourselves and for our group and for the world. We'll be doing different aspects of it through every module. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the practice I started here of transmuting your words, your daydreams, how to work with toxic thoughts. Basically, how do you work with toxic thoughts? That's that module. We're also going to work with dreams, because in shamanism, you can actually ask for a healing dream. And I had a miraculous healing. Every specialist in San Francisco back in the 1970s said I would never heal of a very painful illness, and a healing dream cured me, and I've never I've never had a symptom again. So I want to teach you about the power of dreams. There'll be more. That's just one piece in that module. And we're going to be working with crystals. And the reason we're going to work with crystals is because I want to teach you about the power of emanating love, light, and kindness. We're going to be doing a lot of this. This is I know I'm rocking back and forth, but I'm letting you know that back and forth process with nature beings, with other humans, with helping spirits. Can you imagine doing that together with other species? We want to learn how to be amazing transmitters, and crystals can teach us how to do that. And my teacher, the Egyptian goddess Isis, will come in and do some healing work for the entire group. I know she'll be doing healing work in the whole entire 7 sessions, but there'll be something formal. I know she'll be in talking a lot. She's already been letting me know that I need to be ready for her to interrupt. The elements for me is everything. We cannot talk about climactic change. And to me, that has to do with the planet's immunity as well as our own immunity. We are not going to see a change until we start to work with the earth, air, water, fire as allies and stop trying to manipulate them, stop trying to change them, but make them our allies so that they're willing to work with us. And you are earth, air, water, fire. And when you go inside yourself and merge with earth, air, water, fire, you can actually see the health of your blood. You can see the health of your nervous system with fire. With water, you can see the health of your blood. With air, you can see the health of the air moving through your body, what needs to be done. So we'll be using the elements to actually look at what we need to change on how we take care of our body to increase our spiritual immunity. And then we'll be journeying to the ancestors and to the descendants, as I talked about in the beginning of the course. We'll be learning from the ancestors. What have we been missing? We've just been ignoring all your wisdom. What are you trying to say to us? And how can we stop ourselves from going some of the wrong routes that you went? And in the future, are you willing to help us so we can help you? Sacred reciprocity, and help us to bring healing methods to help us with this virus, with any new pandemic that might come on close to us, to climactic changes. Are you willing to give us really simple healing methods with sound and light that we can bring back into our practices to help to bring our spiritual immunity today? And just to end, we'll be doing a ceremony to an altar every week. I'm actually already started working on the altar with my helping spirits. It's going to be an altar where you can leave prayers for your loved ones, for cities, for countries, for the planet. But I'm also building ceremonial stations in this place where you'll be having the opportunity between sessions to go back and do ceremonies for releasing, ceremonies for blessing, with your favorite element, earth or air or water or fire. There's going to be whole stations with instructions about how to do your ceremonial work during the week so that you keep working to release what could cause illness and to bring in what causes health, again, to increase your spiritual immunity.
Well, what a tremendous offering at such a timely moment. I really feel like these are essential practices for all of us to understand and practice collectively too, because there's an amplified power. So we're really grateful that you have stepped forward to bring with this offering at this time. Again, people can out there, you can see it laid out in detail at shamanicpracticescourse.com, shamanicpracticescourse.com. Fewer things that Sandra hasn't mentioned. It's going to be 7 90-minute class sessions that are live, and we'll do both video and audio recordings as well as word-for-word transcripts. There will be small group time with other participants following Sandra's teaching, as well as weekly exercises and practices. She is exceptionally active in the Facebook community group as well, which really allows you to get different specific questions and challenges and offerings addressed in a deep way. And there's a number of bonuses, quite a number of bonuses. We want to be generous because we know this is a time of great need. So there's, you can see them laid out at shamanicpracticescourse.com. There's an introduction to shamanic journeying from Sandra. There's a honing the elements and recapitulation, which is a dialogue between Sandra and another Shift faculty, Heather Ashamara. There's a dialogue with Sandra and Hank Wesselman called The Emergence of Western Shamanism, an audio dialogue with Sandra and Cecil Carson, Shamanism in Ordinary Landscapes. There's 2 excerpts from the Book of Ceremony, and there's 2 special bonuses that you get when you sign up today only. We'd like to do this to encourage you to make a decision now and go to shamanicpracticescourse.com. Tune in with what you've already experienced, the blessing, the healing, the power today, and know there's more to come. And this is not going to be an overnight fix, the situation we're in, so we do need to strengthen ourselves for a good bit of time. So making a decision today empowers you to make that commitment and start and activate the subtle process that commitment provides. So those 2 extra bonuses that you get when you sign up today are a dialogue with Sandra Ingerman and Lynn Roberts called The Healing Power of Nature, and video dialogue with Sandra and Jane Burns called The Power of the Elements. Sandra, you want to say anything about either of those 2 bonuses?
Well, it's interesting where most of the bonuses are on the elements, but the elements are talking to us really loudly right now. And we all had different aspects to bring in on working with the elements, but actually the elements are key to turning what's happening around on the planet right now.
Great. So a few other things just to mention about the program. So we've kept it just accessible at 3 payments of $109, or you save 10% when you pay in full at $297, even though we've created a lot of extra bonuses for this program. And Sandra makes herself extra available. So the course is going to start on April 14th and run at Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Even if you can't make that live time, we do encourage you to participate, since you can still get the full value with the immediate downloads and participation in the community. And one of the things that we've learned about shamanic work from Sandra and our courses is that participating in ceremony from a different time to a live time actually still has the same power. You're joining outside of linear time. So I encourage you to go to the page again at shamanicpracticescourse.com, shamanicpracticescourse.com, and give it a read, tune in, and if you're feeling called to move forward, you have those 2 extra bonuses when you sign up by midnight tonight. So Sandra, what a beautiful hour we've had together. Thank you for bringing this 90 minutes together, and also offering the opportunity for people to go much deeper into these practices. I know this will be a great service in this time as we cultivate our strength, our spiritual immunity, and our capacity to serve. So thank you. And anything else that on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering going further with you?
Well, I just want to let people know that I picked these practices out of longer courses. And up until even yesterday, on my Facebook groups where people have been working with some of this work, a little bit different, but some of this work, keeps writing in how grateful they are because they have no fear going through this time, and they're really balanced and they're really centered and they're unbelievably grateful to have this work. And I feel the same way. I was so excited because bringing my spiritual energy back into these practices, I do them naturally every day, but to focus on them with the group, it just brings you immediately into a place of balance and center. It restores that. And I wish I could just roll all the comments that people have been saying this week on what this work has done for them in getting through the time that we're in so far.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sandra. You have always been in the deepest service to the healing and liberation of humankind. And may this time we are in be an opportunity for all of us to grow in our capacity to serve, to heal, and to on the other side really birth the world we know is possible. So thank you for being part of that journey for all of us and guiding us with practices that can serve.
Absolutely, it's a big honor for me. Thank you, Stephen.
Great. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you for the full 90 minutes that we've spent together. And if you're called to go further with Sandra, we highly recommend it. You can do so at shamanicpracticescourse.com, and you get the 2 extra bonuses when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you all. Many blessings. May we go be safe, be strong, and let's create healing together.